recipe, I did this one, and I brought everything out to kind of show you, so I know it's kind of a mess on the counter. But what I did on this one, just because I've used this tea several times, I know if you've seen any of my other videos or the social media pages on Instagram or Facebook, that you've seen some of these teas that I talk about where they change colors. And it's using a product called Blue Magic. Butterfly Pea flower tea, and it changes colors when it touches anything acidic. So like your oranges, your lemons, those fruity things like limes. These are two brands that I've used, and as always, I'll include a link in the comment section on YouTube. But these are two of the products that I've used. They both work really well. They just happen to be the two that I purchased off Amazon. So I use that in my recipe. I've already gone ahead and brewed it. It says you should brew for 5 minutes. And so I started ahead of time so that way it'd be fresh. And I also keep some in the refrigerator. So you see that I have brewed some this week from my recipe. But let's go ahead. So this particular drink, it's made with pink lemonade. And what I wanted to do was to do something a little bit different. I've used this recipe as far as some of these ingredients before, but not in this way. I wanted to make it a slushy and make it a little refreshing. So what I did is I took my cup, and I apologize because I know this is all seems very unorganized, but it'll make sense in a minute. So I take a cup, and what I did is I had some molds just from the holidays. I got them at the dollar store, and they're actually little bunnies and bunny butts. That's what they are. So I froze my pink lemonade in there, which is this, and we're going to talk about that. Oh, give me just a second. So I'm going to put some of those ice cubes in the bottom. Okay, I'm not going to blend them just because I only want to blend one part of it. I'm going to blend the top part, but I'm not going to blend the bottom. Now, at the same time that I'm doing this, not to confuse you, but I thought it'd be fun to also, we're going to make a layered tea with the same ingredients, but without using it as a slushy. So I will do that next. But for right now, we're going to put the pink lemonade here. Now the pink lemonade, just so that you know, I use Abundant Life. It is a it's 4 calories per teaspoon. And I would recommend a teaspoon and a half, at the most 2 teaspoons. And I'm going to go ahead and use 2 teaspoons because I'm using this particular tea, and I'll explain that. But it's 2 teaspoons, so that would make this 8 calories. I get this from Abundant Life Foods. It's a good flavoring that I use in a lot of my Herbalife products. And I love this pink lemonade. It's a really nice flavor. I just recently purchased a lot of their lemonades, and this is one of my favorite ones. It reminds me of growing up drinking lemonade. So I froze my pink lemonade last night in my little mold. This morning I poured some of them in here. Get these out of the way. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is take my blue tea. This is one that's really nice in the mornings because it's very simple and very easy, but at the same time it does require prep work, because what I did is I made my tea last night, the other one, and I poured it into my molds. I only had one ice tray, that's why the other ones had a design. But this was just, all I did was pour it in there. I put water. When you make the tea, I used the powder one. And so what I did is I just put a couple of scoops in there, added hot water, let it seep for at least 5 minutes, and then you just pour it in the molds, okay? So just so that you know, on the Blue Pea tea, these are tea bags, and this one is a blue powder. So it's not in a bag, it's in a powder. And I don't really know that you can really see that. But like I said, if you've seen some of my YouTube videos, you've probably seen me talk about this before. I don't really have a preference over one or the other. I do think this one dissolves faster, but this one, like I said, 5 minutes and it's done. This one obviously is less messy because it's in a tea bag, and you don't have to worry about accidentally spilling it because, yes, I've done that before. So this is nice. I also try to keep this in the refrigerator just because I feel like it keeps it fresher since it's already opened, whereas this one's individually sealed. Okay, so I am going to I'm going to go ahead and if I was adding my pink lemonade, just to show you, and I'll go ahead and do it on this one, which is going to be our layered one, so you can see exactly what I did. And remember, it's going to be, for this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit more generous on the dimensions. So this is half a teaspoon, whole teaspoon. And normally I would use no more than 3, but this blue tea actually doesn't have any flavoring at all, but it does, it's, for lack of a better word, it can be a little bit chalky, but if you have the flavoring, you'll never notice it. In fact, it'll taste delicious. But if you don't have enough sweetness, because this is sugar-free, but it does taste sweet. Okay, so let me just make that when I talk about that. So it's going to give you all your flavoring because this has none. And I definitely want to have it nice and flavorful. So this is essentially the same thing, but I haven't added my water. Now obviously I didn't freeze it. And this is in ice cubes, but they're the same thing. Next, I'm going to go ahead for my slushy one. I'm going to switch that. I am going to take, and what I did is I took my ice cubes that I had pre-frozen, and I dumped them in there and added just a little bit of water. Just add a little bit of water because you can always add more water, but you can't add less. Okay? I put these back in the freezer. So what I did is, because I didn't want you to have to listen to the blender, is I pre-blended this. Just so that it would already be crushed and kind of in a slushy form. And I'm going to go ahead and, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add the leftover lemonade that I had from what I mixed last night. And the reason that I'm doing this is because the tea is going to activate that blue pea tea, and it's going to change the colors. So if I add it on top of it, it's going to change the whole thing, and I didn't want to change the whole entire thing. I just want to change some of it. Okay, so I've got a little bit more that I can play with, and I'm going to leave it there for now. And you see that I'm just kind of filling that probably less than half. I don't want to fill it too much because of the fact that I want to have some room to maneuver with the other colors. So I'm going to add some ice cubes on top. And I know it seems weird I'm adding ice cubes, but you'll see why. I'm going to add some just to give me a layer of space, because remember, again, and I'm using my fingers because I'm going to drink this myself, so it doesn't really matter. Because everything that touches this, again, will change colors, and so I want to make sure that I have some room. So, I'm going to go ahead and add my ice slushy. Now really, when you blend it, it gets packed in here on the bottom. So I'm just trying to break it away from the bottom. It is a really pretty color blue. And you'll start seeing the change as soon as everything touches that lemonade. You'll start seeing that blue start turning into like a lilac purple color. I'm just going to keep scooping in here. I really should put some more in here. And blended some more. I do have some more ice cubes. I just didn't want to run the blender during this video because I think that's annoying to hear. And if you'll watch, you can see this really well. Go ahead and move this closer so you can see. You can already see where it's touching the pink is turning that purple. I'm just going to keep layering this. I really want to keep this for the top, so I think I'm going to add some. I should have blended the whole thing, and I didn't. So, but that's not a problem. We'll just add some. Remember, I had some extra blue ice cubes, so I'm just going to go ahead and add them in there and make a mess in the process, but I'm going to do that. And I'm not blending this, but I could blend them. I just, like I said, I just didn't want to run the blender any extra than I had to. I'm going to just dump this in here. too. I really love this tea. It's a lemonade slushy is really what it is. But anyways, next time just blend your whole thing that you put in for the ice. Of course, these things always happen when you're filming and you learn, but that's okay. Some of the prettiest teas that I've made are actually happened because of an accident, something that I did, and it just came out, better than I expected, and I love it. The mistakes are what really makes it really pretty. Okay, so I've added our blue pea tea ice and our slushy ice, and now I'm going to come on top and I'm going to add some aloe, but before I do that, I'm also going to figure out where I put my water, and I'm going to add a little water to the top, but because remember, the aloe also has the acidic acid. This is mango aloe, and so everything that it touches is going to turn to that purple. This is such a pretty drink. I love this tea. It's so much fun to work with. Oops, I think that's enough aloe. I think I'm going to add the rest. I actually could have used a little less aloe, but it's just really good. I love it. Add the rest with water. I'm just going to fill that to the top. Okay, so I want to make sure that you can see these colors really well. So I'm going to show this right here, and I'm going to bring this closer so you can see this. And hopefully you can see how beautiful it is. And you see you've got the pink right here. You've got the purple. Now this is where the acidic acid touched the blue pea tea. And then the top is still blue because it hasn't been touched yet by the aloe, because we made sure to leave that on top just so that you'd have 3 colors. And I really love this for the Galaxy tea. I think it's got all those colors that I wanted to have. And of course, once you are ready to drink it or give it to a customer, you could even swirl it a little bit. You know, I wanted to keep the colors separate, but once they've seen it and taken their pictures of it and it's beautiful, they oohed it on, you know, definitely swirl it. You definitely want to do that anyways before they drink it, so you can mix all that, because on the bottom is where it's really going to be the sweetest at this point. So when they stick the straw in there. I put a light underneath here so you could see the colors better, because, oh, I don't even have my light on here in the house. Well, darn. That sure would make it easier for you. So that way you can see the separation of the colors. So that's just a little light. I think bartenders tend to use them for their drinks, but it helps you see the colors. Great, I hope you like it. So, but I am going to show you one more because I wanted to try this. In case you didn't want to go through the work of prepping all the ice cubes ahead of time, let's try it as a normal tea. So, we are going to do the same steps, but without freezing it. And let's see, this could be a big success or a big fail. And I've got a big puddle here that's spilled, but that's okay. So, I have added my pink lemonade. If you remember, I put 4 of my tiny scoops, which meant it was 2 teaspoons, because these each are a half. And so once I put my pink lemonade in there, I want to add some hot water. The thing that you'll notice is that I have the blue pea tea on top, so whenever you have a strong color on top, you really would prefer to add your teas and possibly your liftoffs then, if you're using liftoff. And the reason is because you want the brightness of the colors below, okay? So for this one, I would recommend putting the tea on top. I actually had already put it into the cubes when I froze it, which is fine, or I could have added it afterwards and then just before they drink it, mix it. For this one, I will be adding it on the top layer, just so that you know. And one thing that I'm using with these is I use lemon tea, but you can also use your NRG. And these are both Herbalife products. These aren't the containers they come in. This is just how I store them. But they are both Herbalife products. And the NRG gives you mental clarity, so I love, 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 and I add that to every one of my teas, I think, at least once a day. And, okay, we can all use mental clarity as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so here's my my pink lemonade, I'm going to add some hot water. And I'm going to move this stuff because I'm through with it now. We're going to eventually clean off this table as we do these projects. So, okay. I'm going to add my hot water, and I'm going to add just a little bit. And the reason I'm using hot water is just so that it melts and dissolves the powder on the bottom. Okay? And you know, we talked about a lift off, that you can add a lift off, and I do love my drinks with lift offs. On this one, if you're gonna do it, you need to do it at that purple layer, and the reason is because that lift off also has, they're flavored like lemon, lime, and pomegranate, and the thing is that does have acetic acid, which means that again, it's gonna change the color. So if I were to put it on the bottom, it would have affected everything. So I just didn't do it, but you certainly could. Okay, so on this one, I've got the pink lemonade on the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and add ice. I'm not sure if I have enough ice. Because I've got my camera popped on the freezer, and I don't want to have to move everything. And I don't know if I have enough ice. I'm trying not to make a bigger mess. I'm using my hand. Normally I wouldn't do it this way, but that's okay. It's really not enough ice. I could add some pink ice in here, and that would be fine. I think I'm going to do that. Because I've got this ice here. Okay. I still would have liked more ice than that, but we'll go ahead and run with it. Okay. So, next I'm going to go ahead and add my tea. And again, this is where I want to add all my flavorings. So, I'm going to actually pour this in here, because I don't really need that. Well, actually, I think I did, but oh well. You know, when you're doing things out of order, it's just amazing. So I'm going to add my NRG, and I'm doing half a teaspoon. I'm going to add my lemon tea from Herbalife, and I'm going to again add half a teaspoon. And I just poured my hot water out, so you'll have to give me a second so I can go get some more hot water because I wasn't thinking. Give me 1 second. So I have my hot water. I've added a little bit into it just to dissolve the teas. And what I'm going to do is add my blue pea tea onto it. Start adding a little bit in here. And I'm going to add a little bit more blue pea tea. And I'm pouring this really hard, which normally you don't do. I would do it over a spoon. And it helps, and also you really should have more ice in here. The ice should be filled to the top. So, as you can see, it's already changing colors. If I had extra ice on top, which I should have done, but I didn't have enough here on the counter, then I would have had that blue on top, which would have been nice and pretty. It's not necessary for this, but it would have been nice and pretty. So just make sure that you have enough ice out when you're doing this project. Again, you still see the separation. I was a little heavy on it, but you do see the separation of the pink and the purple. And you can see once you also give it to the customer, if you want to add a little bit more and get a little bit more purple in there, especially a lighter purple, feel free to show them the magic. This is a color changing tea, so it's really fun to see it. So when they see that, they can ooh and ah. Okay, so the nice thing about this recipe, of course, this one was nice because it's a little bit more controlled because of the slushy, and it was sitting on ice, so it's a little bit more controlled on the layers. This one you have to layer it a little bit soft, but it can be obtained. So you can get the same look, similar look. It's just one was a little fun to do for the summer. And it kind of made it feel a little special because I was trying something different. But you will get the same look doing it either way, layered or as a slushy. Again, make sure you have enough ice, and if you want to do the blue ice on top, I think that that's a nice little add in, but certainly just depends on your time constraints of making this. The good thing about this is these teas are under 20 calories. Remember, we only used 4 calories for each teaspoon. We used 2 teaspoons, so that made it 20 calories. Your blue pea tea was 0 calories, and your aloe is 0 calories. Same thing with your Herbalife teas, 0 calories. So essentially these drinks are each 8 calories. You can't beat that, and honestly, they're delicious. So you're gonna love them. The nice thing is if you added in that mental clarity, that NRGT to it, is that it has a lot of health benefits. So it's a great product. So enjoy it. I have to hurry and clean up and take my son to work. So I will see y'all online later.